to Manchester United. That's a link I've never done in my life before. Let's talk Marcus Rashford, because we always talk Marcus Rashford in transfer windows. Any developments on his future?
No, not at the moment. It'd be an interesting one, and there is even a suggestion that he might even stay at Manchester United. It wasn't Michael Carrick's decision to loan him out. He's yet to play under Michael Carrick. And like we've just looked at Liverpool's squad list, you know, Manchester United, as brilliant as Michael Carrick did last season and rightfully got that job, you're doubling the matches next season with Europe, and it makes so much difference, Mike. And you know, Manchester United finishing third, they'll notice the difference next season when the games come thick and fast. So you just wonder whether it will be beneficial for Manchester United to keep Marcus Rashford, but we'll wait and see.
There's one thing, I would just say there's one thing not getting on with the manager in Ruben Amorim and then coming back and playing under Michael Carrick. That's the footballing side. You've also got to look at the financial side as well, and that is going to have a big influence on why Manchester United may still think that they need to do a deal for Marcus Rashford, because reportedly he's on £325,000 a week. They want to get away from paying players that much money. And he was paid that after he had that incredible season in Eric Ten Hag's first season. And since then, it hasn't really worked for Marcus Rashford at Manchester United. I'm sure in an ideal world, Manchester United fans would like to see Rashford back, fit and firing, and replicating a season that he had a few seasons ago. That is easier said than done. And the financials that are involved in such a deal are quite restrictive for Manchester United to keep him, number one, but also to try and find a deal for him for someone who's going to be able to match those financial packages.
Whenever there's a transfer window, we always talk Man United, we talk Marcus Rashford, and we also say Jadon Sancho. What's going on with him?
Yeah, so Jadon Sancho is no longer a Manchester United player. We should actually say that because his contract was up. United did have the option to extend for a further year, which they did not take up. So he's now a free agent. He has deals agreed in principle, as Jadon Sancho, with a number of clubs in Europe, in the Middle East and in Saudi Arabia. We reported earlier on in this year that Borussia Dortmund were interested in taking him back again. Remember, he shone for them after he left Manchester City before coming to Manchester United, and then he actually went on loan to Dortmund, as he did with Chelsea and last season at Aston Villa. Those options and those deals weren't taken up, so once again, he's a free agent. I think he just wants to see everything that's available before making the final decision.
OK, let's talk Manchester City. I'm going to whiz through the rest of this, guys. We're running out of time. Let's talk Rodri, Michael. Is Rodri staying? Every City fan is listening with bated breath to what you say next.
Oh, blimey, Mike. I mean, well, look, City fans, hopefully for them he does, but Real Madrid I don't think are going away, are they? But obviously he's so key to Enzo Maresca. You wonder if maybe he has that one season at Manchester City and maybe they can do some kind of gentleman's agreement where he moves on maybe next season. That would be next year, basically. In an ideal, you don't want to lose Rodri in your first season as Man City boss.
The big issue that they've got, he's entered the final year of his contract. Like we're talking about Vinicius, you can see that Rodri does hold the cards in this scenario. Real Madrid have always been admirers of him. And when he was at Atletico Madrid, there was always that talk, can you play for both clubs? Earlier on this year, he did an interview and he was asked that very question. And he said, you always want to play for the best clubs in the world. So may have opened the door to a move to Real Madrid there and then.
Liverpool now. And speaking earlier on Sky Sports FC, Charlie Austin said that Liverpool need at least 4 or 5 more signings to add to their squad depth. 4 or 5? Hang on. They spent £500 million last summer. One of those signings, will it be Bradley Barcola?
They're definitely interested. It's going to be a very, very difficult deal to do purely because of the numbers we're talking about. There are some reports saying that the valuation for Bradley Barcola is around £145 million. I don't think Liverpool want to go that high, but Paris Saint-Germain will be basing their pricing on a France international back-to-back Champions League winner for Paris Saint-Germain as well. Publicly, PSG will say, no, he's not for sale. They want to keep his price up. Clearly, a club is always going to do that. But in the background, they're on the verge of signing Mika Götze from Ajax, from signing Magnus Akliush from Monaco as well, to strengthen that forward line. Is that going to further diminish Bradley Barcola's game time more than it did last season? Because if you go back to last season, in their biggest games, let's name the quarter-final of the Champions League against Liverpool, the semi-final of the Champions League against Bayern Munich, the final itself in Budapest against Arsenal, Luis Enrique said, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Desiree Doué, that's my front three. Barcola was on the bench for those games, and he came off the bench admittedly, but does he want another season like that, but with even more players competing for those places? I wonder if and when PSG reinforce that forward line, whether that price is going to be relaxed and it's going to be more accessible for Liverpool to get to. It's going to be interesting to see what Liverpool do, because I'm sure we'll talk about it in a bit. When is Cody Gakpo going to go as well from Liverpool? You would see Barcola more as a replacement for someone like Gakpo on the left-hand side. Stature-wise and personality-wise, you'd probably have to say, and status-wise, it would be a replacement for Mohamed Salah, but not in the same position. They'd still need to find a replacement for Mohamed Salah. And how you do that, I mean, that is a completely different question.
Particularly if you spent a shed load of money on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
So Darmish has teased this up. Charlie Austin has said it. They need 4 or 5 players. They spent a fortune last summer. Why would they need to go again?
Well, some haven't worked out so far. I mean, you could argue that Florian Wirtz still young. It's his first season in the Premier League. It's not his fault of the price tag. He's had a full season in the Premier League now. Kirkez is well known by Andoni Iraola from his time at Bournemouth. He'll probably be the first choice left back after Andrew Robertson's departure. But I look at it again, Mike, and what fascinates me with next season is the clubs in Europe and the clubs without Europe. And as I say, look, I know Newcastle fans love trips to Europe, don't we all? But might do them a bit of good. Xabi Alonso's Chelsea might do them a bit of good. Look what it did for Manchester United last year. You look at Liverpool's squad depth there. Obviously, Ekitike is still going to be out for some time. That's a lot of responsibility for Alexander Isak, who's had a broken leg at Liverpool, who had injury problems at Newcastle United. Cody Gakpo is, I think, quite highly regarded at Tottenham Hotspur, but from what people tell me up in Liverpool, he's not for sale. And when I look at that, Mike, I've got to say I understand why he's not for sale, because
it looks light.
It looks light. If you play Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday next season, which they are going to do, every club in Europe is going to be doing that. You are going to need all those players. And look, I'm sorry to say, some of them will get injured as the season goes on.
But Darmish, how can they be light if they spent nearly £500 million in the summer?
Can we just bring that graphic back up again, just 1 second?
Yeah.
Because I find this very interesting, and I think Jamie Carragher used a very surprised emoji or a scared emoji when he saw this in response to this on social media. Because if you look at this, Bradley's injured. Frimpong, you could argue his best position is probably a wing-back rather than an out-and-out right-back. Gomez has been injured in pre-season. Leone suffered an ACL, so he's still injured. Van Dijk's probably the only fully fit defender that they've got here. He hasn't even returned to pre-season training yet, so hasn't really worked with Andoni Iraola as yet. Jeremy Jacquet, yes, he signed in the slot era. It's been confirmed now. However, he suffered a really serious shoulder injury, and by all accounts, he's still suffering discomfort in that area. Kirkez, in his second season, you'd expect him to get used to the Liverpool way and improve on next season. In the midfield area, yeah, they look like they've got enough cover there, but then, you know, suddenly are there doubts about a couple of their players there as well? Are they going to be staying at Liverpool? Chiesa, in forward areas, he's barely played for Liverpool in that first season, in that first summer when they barely spent any money. It was like £12 million ahead of winning the league, and he was the only signing that came in. Victor Munoz has just arrived, of course. Florian Wirtz, I mean, Michael alluded to it there. Harvey Elliott, is he going to get another chance? There's talk about Cody Gakpo. Is he going to leave? Ekitike, ruptured Achilles. He's not going to be back until the back end of the year, maybe the early start of next year. So, on paper, if everyone's fit, yeah, you maybe think, yeah, that is a squad that can challenge. But there are doubts about a number of those players, whether they're going to be staying there, and definitely doubts about some of the per injured there at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
During our absence, a lot of discussion about Vinicius Jr. and his future, as he's only got 1 year left in his contract, yet to sign a new deal. Vinicius is back until how long, though, is the front page of AS. Jules is with us. Jules, is this just your normal standoff and he looking for more money, or could Real Madrid really let him go?
I don't think they can afford to let him go, Dan. But this is normal procedure. He's got 1 year left on his contract. It's actually quite hard to understand and to comprehend how Real Madrid found themselves in this position with arguably the best player they've had in the last 5 years or so, one of the best in the world in this position, certainly, to have given him that power that now he can decide really what happens next, because with 1 year left on his contract at Real Madrid, he's got all the cards in his hands. And for a club like Real Madrid, not just Real Madrid, but we talked about other clubs who were in a similar position with some of their star players, even recently with Liverpool, for example, it's very hard to understand how you can let that happen. However, this is the situation. It's normal for Vini and his people, his agents, to talk to other clubs right now or to see what others could offer, where he might end up if there's no extension to Real Madrid. It's normal for them to still talk to Real Madrid because I really believe that he wants to stay and Real Madrid wants him to stay as well. And for Real Madrid right now, I really don't think you can afford to let him go. And if there's no agreement found on his extension, then very quickly you have to make a decision. If there's no extension and you believe that he can't leave on a free in 12-month time, obviously, then you'll have to set a price and see what the offers are coming from other clubs in Europe.
To that point, sorry, just one sec, Craig. I didn't know this was going to be our graphic. There's no way that Arsenal could get anywhere near the wages that he'd want, is there, Jules?
I think that's very difficult. Yeah. He's one of the highest paid player in the world. Not just that, but image rights and things like that. Plus, there will be a transfer fee, and there's no way, even with 1 year left on his contract, that Real Madrid don't ask at least 100 million euros. So on top of that, you give him a 5-year deal on probably, Erling Haaland is now the highest paid player in the Premier League, but something very similar, probably very close to 400, slightly maybe more, £400,000 a week on 5 years. Plus the transfer fee. This is an enormous investment from Arsenal, and maybe they can do it. Maybe they can find the money. Maybe a couple of more players would go and things like that. But this is a huge investment for them. If he comes to Arsenal, I think it's a game changer. But financially, they will need all the numbers to add up really to attract him to the club.
So is he looking for? I don't know if you know this, Jules. Is he looking for something at Real Madrid? Because you're right, he is holding all the cards in terms of ever since the Bosman ruling goes into the last year. Then as long as you're a player that is something that almost everybody would take at a reasonable price, then you are the chief man in the poker game. But is he looking for something in terms of the money at Real Madrid that's parity with the likes of Kylian Mbappe, or is he looking to be? What are you laughing at?
Chief man in the poker game.
Don't play poker. Well, he's a big chief in the poker game, isn't he? Is he looking for something that's parity with Mbappe, or is he looking to be basically the highest paid player at Real Madrid?
No, I was told that he wants a pay rise. He's already on an enormous amount of money, but that he wants a pay rise that will get him close or on a similar level to what Kylian is earning. And again, I don't think this is unrealistic from his point of view to kind of request that when you see the numbers. And we can look at 25-26 season individually and collectively and say that Vini was not his best and the team was not his best. Sure, but he also won them Champions League before and titles. And usually in this position, you get a pay rise, wherever you are in those big clubs, when you're a player like Vinicius at his age, because let's not forget, he's reaching now his peak years. It's not like if he was 30 already or about to get 30. This is a really good age for Real Madrid to extend him or for somebody else to go and sign him. So I think the money that he's asking is fair.
You're the big poker guy.
You're
the big chief. When all the people go around your house, those boring people that go around your house for the cucumber sandwiches, and a glass of water. And you have a lovely game of poker.
Is there any world in which we can spin this to say this would actually be good for Real Madrid if he left?
Look, nobody's irreplaceable. Yeah. Nobody is irreplaceable, but you have to replace.
Right.
And I think maybe, and I might be wrong here, I think it seems to me, as well as the money, part of the stumbling block, I think at times, is just persona and attitude. Yeah. And I think that would be a risk for other clubs if you end up...
You take it back to the first Clasico, the Xavi Alonso, everything that happened.
Well, it basically became... I mean, I'm sure he wasn't the only one, but he certainly wasn't... I certainly don't think he was receiving a Christmas card from Xabi Alonso. It was pretty clear that him and his team, and they were publicly quoted on this, were not happy with the amount of minutes that he was getting, and it became a bit of a fight between the two in terms of a power struggle, which ultimately that Alonso lost. As I say, I'm sure he wasn't the only player that wasn't happy. But yeah, no, I could see look. Kylian Mbappe might leave. Erling Haaland comes in, different type of player, but scores goals. There's always somebody that could come in and replace you. I mean, one of the lads, you could probably take at least a couple of the lads from PSG that would come in and be an adequate replacement in the wide positions, be it Doué, Barcola, Elise, Dembele, any of those boys, and there are other, Kvaratskhelia. So no, he's not. And I think the big risk is if he goes somewhere else, which I don't think he will, as Gilles mentioned, the amount of salary, the amount of pay you're going to have to pay him. And then we know if it's not going his way, it can be a problem.
It's the attitude.
It'd be great if we got to Chelsea, wouldn't it?
Aye.
You are, Xavi.
I mean, it's just...
See what we got you?
Yeah, we got you a special present.
Apparently he loves your training.
Who do you think would be more upset?
Oh, well, Alonso would be out the door, wouldn't it? He would last 2 seconds.
I mean, listen, that's... In all honesty, we're pretty much talking about his attitude.
Yeah.
Because if it's Messi at that age, even the argument about, well, the whole dressing room going to want the same amount of money, blah, blah, that doesn't apply really with Messi, because everybody knows it's Messi. But if I'm a player in that Arsenal dressing room, for example, and I've got Vinny Jr. coming in, and he's going to be on ridiculously stupid money, and I know he's not going to run for me, I'm going to have a problem with that. And surely, if I'm writing the cheque at Arsenal, I'm asking the manager first and foremost, hold on a second, we've just seen what this guy's done over the last couple of years at Real Madrid, how he's kind of blown everything up in the dressing room. His behaviour on the field has been just atrocious, particularly in the big game with Barcelona. But you're asking me to sign a cheque, and we don't know what we're going to get. I think it completely changes the narrative, and it certainly makes his options are small.
Arsenal have signed players before, after their huge success under Arsene Wenger. Not maybe to this standard, but they signed players once after the 2004-05 season when they last won the title. When they had the drought, they'd gone down a bunch of really talented players who didn't work particularly hard. Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil, the list. They signed Pepe. Thought he was going to be brilliant. Yeah. A flash in the pan.
That was Jules' advice. They said to sign.
They did have a lot of players who you would consider extremely talented, but were liabilities when they didn't have the ball. And Mikel Arteta has gone the other way with this Arsenal team. To take them to the Champions League final, to take them to the summit in the Premier League again, is good players who work, really good players who work really hard. And that's been the staple for them at Arsenal. That's been where they've had their recent success. Not by thinking, right, you know what, we could just go out and get somebody who's extra special, but it does upset the apple cart, both in terms of salary and potentially in terms of not pulling your weight when you're in a big game. So for those reasons, I wouldn't see him going to Arsenal.
There has been, though, a major overhaul at Real Madrid over the summer. Of course, Jose Mourinho coming in. Diomande is reported to be making that move from Leipzig to Real Madrid. We heard Leipzig come out, Jules, and say, no, this isn't going to happen, but you feel that it will inevitably happen at some stage before the window closes. For people who haven't seen Diomande, how does he fit into this Real Madrid side?
Well, I think he would be signed to play on that right-hand side. Obviously, if you think about Mbappe central and Vini on the left, if Vini stays, obviously, I still think that Diomande's best position is probably more onto the left-hand side, where he played mostly with Ivory Coast at the World Cup, although he played a lot on the right as well for Leipzig. So I don't think really right or left matters to him. He's very able with his right foot and his left foot. Last season was his first one really for a good European club. Before that, there was Leganés, in La Liga in Spain. But Leipzig, he showed all the potential and talent at only 19 years old of what he could do. Yet spending 130 million, which is what Real Madrid are about to spend on him, is still a bit of a gamble because the talent is there. But then we've all seen very talented 19-year-old players who never really made that step up. So this is the money that PSG didn't want to pay. For example, they stopped at 100 million and they say that's the valuation we have on him. If you're Leipzig, you're not happy with that, then sorry, we can't go higher up. Real Madrid seems okay and happy to go for 130, which again I think is borderline silly money really for a player like Diomande, as talented as he is, a bit like what Chelsea paid for Rodri in a sense. but the talent is there. And if Mourinho can help developing a bit more that talent, nurturing all that talent, he can go to the next level. And then I think he's got everything to be one of the best players.
Where's the common sense?